I thought tapes were dead, but it turns out they're still the backbone of the digital world today. Welcome back to Mixtape. This is the final episode in my 4-part series on how cassette tapes changed the world. We've already looked at the past, but today we're looking at the present and future of tape. Not only did cassettes sort of invent the internet, tape is more important now than ever.
So that's working, right?
That's working.
Playing a tape as simple as or even easier than playing a record.
It's the final week of my month-long deep dive into cassettes, and I have a newfound respect for this medium. I started by buying older tapes, quickly switched to making my own mixes, learned how cassettes bypass the music industry and foreign governments, talked to a mixtape DJ, learned how magnetic tape broke reality, began customizing my player, learned how a mixtape acted as a tether for the loneliest man in the universe, explored a mixtape from my own past, and now I've decided to make my own proper mixtape. Like a mixtape.
Now I'm in the air full of dolphins, addicted to attention through a phone screen. And even though we both like to live stream, you be declaring that into an audience that don't read.
The elephant in the room is this. For all the innovation and change the magnetic tape brought, cassettes still have an average shelf life of 30 years. They were replaced by CDs, which will last over 100, and then digital music, which is hypothetically infinite, right? By putting it on cassette, am I condemning my mixtape to a 30-year countdown as soon as it's done? I wanted to talk to someone more about this, so I paid a visit to a collector who has the most incredible physical music collection I've ever seen.
Amir Rahimi, owner of Rappin' and Snackin', Los Angeles, California, born and raised, and started collecting hip-hop in middle school after my homie burned me some CDs, and then I was hooked, and it's been pretty much 20 years plus now. So, Death Certificate right here is my favorite album of all time, but I just have to shout it out, obviously, just because, in my opinion, it's also the best album ever made.
I see you got 4 copies as well.
And I got 4 copies, yeah. So you have here, you have 2 different pressings, one of which has like the neon color text, and then this one is just the white text. One is actually a bootleg that I bought intentionally, just I was like, oh, I just want to see what the bootleg's like. I actually don't have any streaming services, so I'm very much of the philosophy that I don't listen to it unless I own it. That's not this one, that's the UK version. This is the bootleg one, so you can tell it's a little more grainy. You got 2 other ones right here. You got the Polish pressing, which is like a totally different cover, and then you have this one right here.
While Amir loves his tapes, he's actually afraid to play them.
Cassettes for me, they scare me a little bit, and that's because I've popped a few in my day. I don't play them as much these days unless there's like that special remix that isn't on the vinyl or the CD, or there's that specific like snippet tape that you don't have on other formats.
Ice Cube's Death Certificate is over 30 years old, so each time you play it, that could be its last play. That would destroy what he's trying to preserve.
So death certificate, how many is this total you have?
For death certificate, and then there's one below it, which is when they repress it into the new cover. For death certificate, this is sealed. So this was the 25th anniversary, so I kept this one sealed. So yeah, quite a few. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Each tape in Amir's collection exists in an impossible state, simultaneously full of music and degraded. It's stuck in this in-between until he risks hitting play. They become like Schrodinger's cassettes, music you can own but never actually experience. The irony is that while Amir's tapes are now trapped by their physical limitations, at one time they helped pioneer something that moved beyond these limitations, changing the way we share everything. Simon had one final story for me about how cassettes were the foundation for our modern world.
It's basically the story of how, in a small way, for a brief moment, the cassette tape invented the internet. This takes place in the UK in the mid-'80s. Our central character is a guy, you can still find him online, his name's Simon Goodwin. And Simon Goodwin was like sort of a pioneer of early home computing. By which I mean, he had a home computer and he was pioneering on it. He was making games, he was like building communities around these micros, as they were called at the time, which were like a semi-scary new technology if you weren't a member of sort of the computer cult at that point. It's like, those weirdos over there in the back of the pub are playing with their like electronic brains. What the hell are these guys doing? Simon Goodwin's sort of the ringleader of this thing, and what he loves, maybe more about this technology than anything, is that like it allows him to share with people. He discovers a new game, he can copy that cassette tape and give it to his buddy and they can play it.
Sorry, cassette tape? Because I'm very familiar with floppy disks.
Well, the floppy disk is what we usually remember from this era.
Yeah.
Most home computers in the 80s, particularly in Europe, were not running off floppy drives. They were running off cassette drives.
I did not know that.
Simon explained it like this. Computer software is made up of zeros and ones, and using a standard audio cassette tape, you could use a low tone as a 0 and a high tone as a 1. You would play these tones on the tape, and the computer would translate it and put the software on your screen. And just like any other audio cassette, you could easily copy these data cassettes and share software with other computer enthusiasts. It's an early form of file sharing, but you have to physically hand the tape to someone.
However, Simon Goodwin was not going to be happy with just handing other people his software or the software he had found and loved. He wanted to find a way to sort of give unto all of the masses software at once. So, at the same time that Simon Goodwin's playing around with all this stuff, he's working for this local community radio station. And they have a 1-hour slot each week where they talk about sort of the latest and greatest in microcomputing. And he convinces the program director that, you know what we should do? We should take a piece of software, this sonic software, and we should broadcast this out over the airwaves. Okay, FM transmitter. This thing is set to 88.0 FM. Commodore 64. He and his buddy go on the air and they say, okay, everyone, we're about to do it. Get your fingers over the record button.
All right, I'm recording.
Because in 3, 2, 1, we will be sending this out. 3, 2, 1. Okay, broadcasting. That's to tell the computer, here comes some software. There, that's the software.
It sounds so much worse than I thought it would. So that's working, right?
That's working.
This is crazy.
But, right after it's done, they start getting phone calls from people saying it worked.
But just because Simon Goodwin pulled this off, doesn't mean this Simon and I did.
So at this point, we've got our Commodore 64 running into our Commodore 64 monitor. I think it's called a data tape drive.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're going to load this in. Is this rewound?
No.
No. Okay. And now we're going to, the very simple command, LOAD, return, press play on tape. Searching, found. Okay.
Welcome to the Commodore 64. Here are some bars of color to help adjust your set. I mean, that's a separate problem, but... Now turn up the volume and wait.
This song was sent through the air as that captured on here, now rerun into here.
Night falls, and here is a short display of fireworks for you. That's the internet before the internet. It's wireless file transfer.
Yeah.
Made possible by sound and cassette tapes.
Right.
Before wireless file transfer.
There we are.
Finally, two pieces by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. First Andante. Ah, yes. Mozart, the way he intended it to be performed.
Now, Simon says that while Simon Goodwin did this before just about anyone, he wasn't the only one.
Especially in Eastern Europe, behind the Iron Curtain, there would be sort of pirate radio stations that would disseminate sort of smuggled in Western computer games over the airwaves that way. I saw cases of it in the former Yugoslavia where they were doing it. So this was like a thing. It was a way to distribute software. Sort of before that moment, to distribute media was materially bound. But this, literally, you could distribute it to an infinite number of people within a geographical bound at no cost to yourself or anyone else. It's a bit much.
As crazy as this little story from the past sounds, what's crazier still is that cassettes and magnetic tape, it's still the backbone of our digital world today. Allow me to blow your mind for a moment. Data has been stored on magnetic tape since the 1950s, but in the year 2000, the first LTO tapes were released. They're like the big brother to cassettes. They might look different, but it's the same technology inside. And as computer use has expanded, the internet has grown, and there's more data to store, so has this big brother. In 2024, the industry shipped over 175 exabytes of LTO tapes, continuing 4 consecutive years of growth. An exabyte, by the way, is 1,000,000 terabytes. Okay, but why magnetic tape? Why would you choose this outdated technology over storing your data on a hard drive? It turns out there are a few reasons, and the first one will sound familiar: cost. Let's put this in perspective. You probably have some kind of external hard drive at home. Right now, you can get a 6 terabyte external hard drive for $150. That's a cost of $25 per terabyte. Or you could get a solid-state drive that's only 2 terabytes for $170. Much faster, but far less capacity, and you're paying $85 per terabyte. But this little LTO tape, it stores 30 terabytes at 1/10 the cost of a hard drive. The trade-off is speed. LTO tapes are much slower to read and write. So they're used primarily for long-term storage for large amounts of data. Companies of all sizes are turning to LTO tapes, but one of the biggest reasons for the growth in the last few years? Artificial intelligence. All that data has to live somewhere, and ironically, artificial intelligence companies are turning to this tried and true technology. And there's one more advantage that LTO tapes have over other storage options. Hard drives will last an average of 3 to 5 years. Solid-state drives maybe 5 to 10. But magnetic tape? Well, you already know, 30 years. And with proper care and storage, even longer. So if I store my mixtape on a hard drive, it actually won't last as long as cassette. Ironically, the 30-year lifespan isn't a limitation, it's exactly what I want. But if you're going to archive something on an LTO tape, temperature, humidity, handling, it all matters. I wanted to see how the professionals do it, so I paid a visit to Data, a company that specializes in long-term storage and records management.
Data is specialized in safeguarding information for businesses of all various sizes, all different industries. The one thing that we find is every single different business has some sort of data, and to every business it's very important. Backing up their physical information is really what people come to Data about. So that can be on physical paper, whether it's going to be, patient records, it could be case files. A lot of government agencies have very important information that they come to us that they need to keep for long term, and they store that information here. So the climate controlled vault is specifically designed to provide temperature and humidity controls for storing LTO tapes, hard drives, anything that needs special kind of storage as far as maintaining it for long term. Having one of these tapes in a off-site air-gapped kind of a system allows you to protect yourself from malware, ransomware, things that can get into your system. Well, when we take this tape and we put it into our vault, it isn't connected to the internet at all. So something we like to say here is that we store over 100,000 tapes statewide for different offices. Not one of them can be hacked. We have an FM200 clean agent fire suppression. Basically, it's going to be able to use a gas so that the fire isn't able to spread in there, but it's also not going to be damaging the media materials that are in there. We have a secure record center here. Within the record center is going to be the climate control vault. The life cycle of them is going to be extended by putting it into the vault. And really the goal of coming to a climate controlled vault like Data is operating here is that you're trying to extend that for as long as possible. Because we have some clients that are going to be rotating this stuff every single month, every week that goes by, they rotate on out. And we have others that have been here for tens of years.
If you want to store something securely for a long time, there is no better solution than magnetic tape.
Brandon, it was great to meet you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely.
Can I actually give you something to keep here?
Certainly.
Do you need to know what's on that tape?
Honestly, Brandon, I would rather not know what's on this tape. We're going to keep it safe and sound regardless. Confidentiality-wise, I'd rather not know the information that's going to be on this.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Fantastic. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
Over the past month, I've learned that cassette tapes were revolutionary. They put the power of music distribution direct into people's hands for the first time. They allowed DJs to push creative boundaries, helped genres like hip-hop spread all over the world, bypassing traditional gatekeepers entirely. Magnetic tape captured reality in high fidelity, but then gave us the tools to manipulate that reality. Personal mixtapes were a new kind of medium for sharing much more than just music. It could tether you to a specific place or time. They helped pioneer the internet and are still the best long-term backup solution for small businesses and billion-dollar AI companies alike. And now at the end of this journey, I've created my own mixtape, original music that captures this moment, seeing something I thought I understood in a completely new way. But about that LTO tape.
All right, it works. We have 30 terabytes. What should we put on this tape?
Probably like everything.
What is a mixtape? It's a personal combination of multiple things. Things that can seem unrelated on the surface, but mean something when the creator tapes them together. A mixtape is freedom from how things are supposed to be. It's customized, it's underground, it's a pure transmission from one person to another. A mixtape is a labor of love and time and effort, and therefore imbues this piece of plastic and magnetic tape with meaning. The magnetic particles on the tape are teeming with emotion. A mixtape is a time capsule, not for a whole town or country, but for a single person. Get there. It captures what was happening in a specific moment, in a specific place, with a specific person, all in real time. It's taking a complex, intangible thing and locking it in time and space. Mixtapes birthed new genres, liberated the ears and hearts of a nation, split our reality, became a new medium for love, for laughter, for life rafts. Magnetic tape changed the world, and it's still part of our lives today. It's just got a boring 9 to 5 now. But the work they do is what allows us to build new technologies on top of it. I started this series wondering why cassette sales are at a 20-year high. Now I know. Cassette tapes make music physical again, which means you can own it, share it, manipulate it, mix it, play it till it breaks, lock it away. The possibilities are still endless. As for the 30-year shelf life, nothing lasts forever. That's exactly what makes every listen count. That's the magic of a mixtape. Thanks for watching mine.